Traders, Nick Sheen here looking at Pfizer. This is August, what is it, 16th, monthly expiration, 2019, and just markets have had a correction of sorts, and we're still in it, kind of a sentiment, crisis of sentiment, and a crisis in the bond market. Yields are falling out of bed. So we're looking at some opportunities. Pfizer is one of them. So ideally, not Pfizer, sorry, Eli Lilly. I will do Pfizer later. So the second quarter of 2019 is less friendly than the first. So luckily, the year to date is still all right, but way off the highs. Trend is down. Although the good note is that it's falling into consolidated area, meaning there has been big fights over this, and it should provide some support. Now, there's some bad news there is that they already lost the POC, which is a pretty important zone, 115-ish, give or take. If you can look here, it's that orange line, and it's the actual mathematical value for, this is basically saying where the bulls and bears have fought it the hardest for the last year. So it should have held. And it did until it didn't. And once it fell, then it becomes forward resistance. Well, that's the theory, right? So they have, Eli Lilly will have to fight that meme. So once you lose this zone, it was support. First of all, it was resistance. Then right here somewhere, they broke out. Support, 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 fail. This is the first attempt. So now it becomes resistance again until it's not. So they hit it and they fell normal. Important thing is they continue to set higher lows, because then they can do this type of a deal and then hit it again and hopefully reach out. As long as they're setting higher lows, knocking on the roof, they'll break through it. So this is a pivot zone. Clearly you can see it. That's bad news number one, is that this is a strong pivot zone. So it's going to be strong resistance. But if the market in general just recovers because sentiment is so bad, then this one has a good chance. Earnings are gone, so there's no significant event coming scheduled that I know of. So what's the good and bad news other than that is this line right here. It's not a hard line in the sand. I'll show you why later. It is 106 here. It looks like a hard line, but it's a zone. And if I look back there, it's 106 also. And you can see that it is pivotal, support, big S. So big S here, almost emphatic. The problem is if that big S goes, why is that a problem? So you've heard head and shoulders, blah, 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 blah. Here's a shoulder, here's a head, and here's a shoulder. So what happens if this is lost? It's a bearish pattern, and how far can it fall? This much. So it falls to 90 or below. You're saying, oh, you're nuts, you're crazy, get out of here. Before you shut down the video, let me show you something else. This is a daily chart, right? That's a weekly chart. So does that look more likely that it's not inconceivable? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see there's a whole lot of movement here for until 2018, and then something happened in 2018 that said, you know what? We had completely mispriced Lilly. Let's take it up a notch and then some. I don't know what happened here. Something around earnings. So fundamentally, maybe you know more than I do. So suddenly, this value here doesn't look so crazy, right? So let's talk on the weekly. I don't want to scare you. I'm not calling for it. I'm just saying it's there. So I said 105 or 106. But I'm going to draw the line right here. So 104-ish. Technician will draw it differently. I'll try to draw it later. So there's a burst that fails. I love it. And then the bears say, nope, I'll send you back to where you came from. They come back to the neckline. The bulls say, I can do this, and they go further. And then the bears say, I can send you right back. Boom. And then the bulls say, I can do this again. And if the bulls stop somewhere around here, which is, this is resistance 1, this is resistance 2, and they come back to the neckline, God help them if they lose that neckline, because this is a definite head and shoulder, and that's where you get that 90 number-ish. And look how it matches up with this cluster. I'm not making this up. I mean, I didn't plan this ahead of time. That's why a technician would actually draw it from here to here, and this will bring probably here, which is this is the point of control for this zone, long-term point of control. So this is where bulls and bears loved it, and this is where it is right now. This is where bulls and bear actually loved it. This is past history, not like forecast. That orange line is a mathematical value. Okay, so I am not calling for it. So can I go long Lilly here? Fundamentally, I don't know a lot about them, so let's go find out. I know it's a well-managed company. I know that they've been around forever. PE is 25. Doesn't sound crazy expensive. 4 times sales. Price to book 11. That's kind of expensive. So if you know more about it, fundamentally, maybe you can get smarter about it. But the point is, it's not crazy bloated, and it's not going to be a financial disaster if I hold it for the long term. Now, if I do go long here, I'm anticipating something. There's nothing in this chart that tells me it's going one way or another, except that I'm seeing higher lows, lower highs coming to a point. So I'd rather wait for a trigger, which is what? A break above this. So what I would do personally is I would put a trade alert. And I will tell myself, chase. Oh my gosh, long week. With a question mark, POC, kind of like a mental note for me. So if it goes above this, now we have the opposite of a head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulders that would target 122-ish. So we'll erase these two big nasty. So that would be one way of chasing it. Are there triggers short term? Yes, I'll delve into them in a little bit. If I wanted to, but I would definitely put stop losses. Where? Any one of these, depending on my stomach. How much losses can I stomach? I would check any one of these and put it accordingly. So this is how I would trade Lilly. As far as instead of buying upside hopium, I would look into selling puts or put spreads. I will share some specifics in the table to members. If you want more about this, reach out to me. Okay, so 60 maybe. All right, so here we go. This is a 1 hour chart. Same chart. This is that orange line I just put a trigger on. So I said, are there levels to play? Yes, 111 would be one of them. This is that failure right there. If I wanted to be a little more sure about it, I'd use 111.5-ish because I see a moving average just kind of, it's going to be tough for machines to let it go. So there's a gap up here. They might shoot for it. But I wouldn't chase anything before I see 111 or 111.40 at least. 112 would be great. But then again, there's that failure right there. And then a failure right there. So any of these lines would be my trigger. I have to choose one that works with my time frame. So if I'm looking this short, I would have to also consider the opposite side. So if I'm trading this fast, short term I meant to say, not short, then I'd have to put my stops here somewhere because this is the range that is playing out in the last few hours. All right, so I'm going to get out of here on this one. A little longer than I wanted, but at least it's comprehensive. We looked at the fundamentals, at what the charts say, what the stock market is going to do next week. So we'll see what happens there. If you have any questions, let me know.